Everybody, Security G, and I'm back again with another video. And today, what the hell's going on with my camera today? Oh my god, I'm just having a bad day. Okay. Now I'm in the Stone Ages. I'm in the Stone Ages. What the hell's going on with this camera? Okay, anyways, continue. We keep it moving. Nothing can stop the show. The show must go on. Anyways, guys, we're gonna be talking about the premise today, the hypothesis that I came up with, the discussion topic that I brought up, and I literally started a fight on Twitter amongst fans. It's not my intentions, but the whole topic is: have Arsenal been unlucky this season? Do you guys think we've been unlucky this season? And before I go into it, and I ask you guys, have we been unlucky? Let me just bring up some stuff that I have, right? So as you guys can see, I did a whole Twitter thread about this, right? So have Arsenal simply been unlucky this season? And here's a thread of all the major decisions that have gone against Arsenal, in addition to other things, obviously, right? So first thing I brought up the fact that we've lost 11 games, and in those 11 games that we've lost, 8 of them were by 1-goal margins, right? I felt like we were extremely hard done by the Burnley game, both Burnley games, in my opinion. Everton, I think Everton away. When it comes to Leicester, the home game against Leicester we're talking about here. Wolves, you could just pick one of the Wolves games, but especially the one with the red cards and the penalty. And then Aston Villa, you could say the first game they beat us fair and square. The second game, definitely some dodgy decisions, right? The disciplinary issues all season, right? There's been some issues also with referees. I felt like referees were not being favorable to us. VAR definitely impacted us also, because we had the least amount of decisions from all the top 6 teams this season overturned in our favor. You got Mane, September 28. You got Mane elbowing Tierney, could have easily been a red card or at least a something, right? You got Sander Bergs almost breaking Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's ankle back on the 4th of October. You have another situation here where Kyle Walker, at the time it was 1-0, and high boot by Kyle Walker could have given us a penalty, subsequently making the game 1-1. Could have picked up a point there. Another situation, Lacazette, that goal that was disallowed because Xhaka was interfering from an offside position when the ball didn't even touch him and he was nowhere near the goalkeeper, right? Penalty decision against Leeds, clear, should have been a handball, was not given. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? Sometimes they're not given. Then I'm just going to keep going. That game ended as 0-0, right? We could have won that game. Bruno Fernandes should have been given a penalty, was not given a penalty. I'm just going to continue before we get going. The last one, David Luiz, and you know what? Just to add in a couple more, you got the Aston Villa, the Martinez, body slamming Lacazette. What else? Oh man, it just goes on and on and on. So yeah, I'm gonna come back to you guys now, people. Yo, after I've shown you all that, do I make a case that, we have not only been unlucky, but referee decisions have gone against us, and we have not been clinical, and disciplinary issues from our own players? You cannot solely put this on the manager. People are absolutely ridiculous by saying, hey, this is all Arteta's fault. It's Arteta's fault that we have red cards. It's Arteta's fault that we're 10th in the league. When, if you look at the table, last year when Arteta came in, 28 games in, you know where we were, guys? We were 10th with 1 less point than this season.
So, well, there's like 2 conversations you're having here. There's one is about Arteta and almost trying to justify our league position, and then one is, are we unlucky? I think for the simplicity of the argument, I think we need to separate what's unlucky and then what's just a lack of ability. So missed chances, I don't think that's the case for us just being unlucky. I think that's just us being, for want of a better word, shit. Unlucky are those incidents that you refer to in terms of the referee decisions. Not all of them I agree with. I think sometimes when you pause an image, it takes out the whole context of the tackle. For example, the Fernandes one on Aubameyang, in real time, I never thought that was malicious. I thought it was more clumsy. And I think a yellow card would have been the right call. I don't think that's a red card. But obviously, when you pause it and you see the foot on Aubameyang, you go, oh, well, Eddie Nketiah got sent off for something similar against Leicester. And then you can go, yeah, they look like red cards. When you watch it in real time, from Fernandes, it was just a little bit clumsy mixed with a hint of or a tint of maliciousness, but I wouldn't say anything more than that. But then I look at the Lacazette disallowed goal against Leicester when Xhaka was deemed to be interfering with play, and I see that is 100% a goal in my opinion, because when you look at that one angle in particular, it shows that he's not in the line of sight of Kasper Schmeichel. Then I compare the Jagielka red card to the Konza one on Saka at Villa Park. Similar position. But this is the hard thing, isn't it? Because it's really hard to compare decision for decision because they're always different. On the terrace, I heard Terry compare the penalty that Tierney got against Chelsea when James was fumbling behind him. I mean, to the David Luiz one. And even they feel different because because James is really, really close to Tierney for a prolonged period of time and it causes a fumble, whereas David Luiz is just running back, which then causes a collision. So it's really hard to compare every situation with a previous one. But what I would say is that it feels like we have been unlucky when it comes to VAR decisions. But I know as a counter argument, people will say, well, what about all the luck that you've had? But obviously the tweet isn't, are other teams lucky against Arsenal? The tweet is, are Arsenal unlucky? And obviously you can't dissect every single situation that goes for and against you. And you can't dissect every situation that goes for against other clubs. And then you also can't refer to incidents. I've heard quite a lot people say, well, what about the FA Cup final when who got sent off? Was it Kovacic or Jorginho?
Kovacic.
Yeah, it's like, what about that? You got lucky there. I'm like, yeah, okay, but we can't keep going back to make a point relevant. And also, Azpilicueta could have got sent off in that cup final as well. So I agree with what you're saying in loosely, but there's obviously, we can't let it deflect away from the fact that, take Burnley, for example, the game should have been over. Obviously, a penalty would have made it better for us, but the game should have been over. So I know I've just given you about 5 minutes of different answers there, but yeah, that's my opinion.
Guys, my camera today, we're in the Stone Ages because this thing decided not to work. So we're just gonna have to go with this until I sort it out. Anyways, Adam, I'm gonna throw it to you. After seeing that and my opening hypothesis to the story, what do you think about the discussion, and when you first heard the topic, what was your first impressions, and now what do you think?
Again, I think you have a case. I think you might have a case. Initially, I thought I can't wait for us to get into it because I thought you might have just been making it up, trying to give Arsenal excuses. But some of those decisions I seem to have forgotten. And while Harry said that context is incredibly important, I completely agree. By the way, you must have a flippant photographic memory because all of that stuff you just brought back, well done.
Bro,
well
2
done,
hours. It took me 2 hours to do it last night from midnight till 2:30. I was just in my bed, my wife's sleeping, and I'm just on my phone looking at this thing the whole night. It was annoying. And you know what? I even tried to do it to a next level. I tried to get video clips of each one, and then it was too much work. So I just said forget it.
I wouldn't let Arsenal rob you of your sleep, man. It's worth more than that. But it's fine. But I do think
that every Thursday they did that this season.
I do think you have a point because I think back to, I think it might have been last season, Aubameyang versus Crystal Palace, especially considering the Sander Berg challenge. Aubameyang, I think he's not a nasty player. He's not someone that puts in loads of tackles. He's not very sort of ugly, but he got sent off for a missed time challenge. Sander Berg didn't get it. And I look at it and I just think, what is it about Arsenal? Is it because we've still got this sort of reputation or aura of being this soft team? I remember Sam Allardyce, when he was Bolton manager, always coming to Arsenal, giving it to us, telling his players to bully us because we were more technical. And I don't know if that reputation has kind of carried on up to now. I would hope that it hasn't, but it seems that way. And I think in the context of a footballing season, I would probably argue that Arsenal have had less decisions go their way than in their favor. And I know that they probably balance themselves out over time, but this season of all seasons, I think it's been a little bit harsh. But one other thing to add is that I think the spotlight is on Arsenal or decisions that Arsenal gone against Arsenal more this season because refereeing generally has been quite bad. There doesn't seem to be much consistency from week to week on VAR or refereeing decisions. So I think that makes it look far worse than it is. Whereas if it was a normal season, I think we wouldn't really be complaining as much as we are right now, if that makes sense.
Okay, TJ here says, Egal, you don't realize how stupid your topic you're speaking about is. It's not the fact that it's not that it's a stupid topic. It's that you disagree with the premise of the point. The point is, Arsenal have they been unlucky? You can look at it from many different ways. Have we been unlucky by not being clinical and not being able to finish our chances? Yes, we have been, because we've had high XG opportunities in games.
Egal, that's why I don't think it's unlucky though. I think maybe I get what you're saying, but I think it's maybe the wrong use of word. I think unlucky is not getting the penalty calls or seeing examples of decisions going against you in other teams, you know, and in our game. Sorry, but when it comes to finishing, I just think that's what it is. It's poor finishing. I think a fair statement to say is if we add 10 goals onto Aubameyang this season, or 5, we're in a completely different league position. I think we are the lowest scoring team in the top 10, but we've got the 4th best defensive record. Don't quote me on that, but I think if you look at the table, I think we're around there. So that goes to prove that maybe if we'd been more lucky in terms of finishing, like, I don't know, deflections or whatnot, but in general, the overall rule for that would be that our finishing's just been shit.
Okay,
but then you also got to consider. Sorry, Aubameyang. Sorry, Egal. You also got to consider that we didn't create chances for half of the flipping season. We were crying out for a number 10, and we only got it around the Christmas time. So, of course, we're not going to score goals if we're not creating chances. So yeah, I agree with that as well. I don't think we're unlucky because we haven't finished our chances, because we haven't even created that many, or hadn't up until a certain point in the season.
Yeah, but like the narrative against Burnley also.
What about
go on.
Drawing it down to simply being unlucky is tough, but nobody's saying we've had all our luck. No one's saying we've had all the luck against us. I'm saying from what you look at and from what you see, you can pinpoint certain games and certain opportunities and certain moments that has swung the season against us. For example, the Burnley game, the own goal Aubameyang scored, in addition to other situations that happened in that game. Xhaka losing his head, Pépé losing his head. Those things you can't factor that into being unlucky. But what you can factor into being unlucky is clear penalty decisions going against you, clear moments and opportunities where players are in front of goal, you can finish the winner, but they just are not clinical at that moment. And to me, the final thing that brings everything back together is when you look at, oh man, it's just so frustrating. Clear-cut penalties, like the arm Pépé the other day. Just, oh man, I'm just so frustrated watching, looking at this. Every time it makes me angry.
Be higher in the table if we had got all of those decisions.
I feel like we are not as far away from top 4 as people make it seem like. People are fear-mongering and people are scaring everybody in the fan base, saying, you know what, we're so bad that we could get relegated in a season's time. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying we are not that bad. We have been unlucky to a certain extent that has caused us to be in a worse position than we should be. At best, we should probably be in and amongst top 4, top 6, right? With everything going our way. But because we've had a lot of things going against us, and because we're also extremely error prone, which I haven't mentioned, extremely error prone, that is something that with cohesion and continuity, you can fix that.
Yeah,
what do you guys think about the whole cohesion thing?
Yeah, when you say cohesion, do you mean the continuity?
Another year with the same manager, some of the players getting to know each other better, and having a set 11, because we have had, if you guys don't realize, everyone's been affected by COVID, but Arsenal have played the most amount of players on the pitch this season than any other team.
Really?
Yeah, we've played more players than the person who's played the least amount of players is Aston Villa. They've played 20 players. We have played a total of 29.
Yeah, look, I think in simple terms, and I've just had a quick glaze at the comments. I think, and I hate saying this as well, I believe if you want the manager to change, you will see us discussing VAR calls go against us as excuses. If you're keen on Arteta moving on, you'll just say that it's excuses and it's the same for every team and it evens itself out and all of these cliches. If you are keen on Arteta staying, you will use this as a case to say, guys, we are on the right path, but for these reasons, this is why we're perhaps not where we should be. And then just to go back to your original point about cohesion, I mean, yeah, it's a fair point, but then people will say, look at West Ham and look at Everton. You know, Ancelotti's come in a similar time.
But my point stands. Even with West Ham, the thing about West Ham is they might have a new manager, but they do have cohesion. They have similar set of players. They've been playing for years. They also don't have Europe. They also have similar. If you look at their team from a couple years ago, last year, the team from last year to the team this year, why do you think they shot up the table? It's not because their manager is amazing. David Moyes is not a world-class manager as everyone says we need. What David Moyes is just a regular manager who's able to get the best out of a bad bunch and get results with a team that's been together, a core of a team that's been together for a couple years now and knows each other very well. If we constantly changing every time is terrible, we're going to put ourselves back even more.
Oh yeah, of course. And listen, if we sign Thomas Souček and Kufal and Bowen, our fans would probably start a protest, you know? So sometimes when you have a simple operation with less pressure, less expectation, simplicity wins, and you'll rise further than Arsenal in what sometimes feels like what we try to do is overcomplicate things and make things a lot more complex than they should be. But essentially that's because of our club and our brand of football. There's a reason why we choose managers of Emery and Arteta over maybe Eddie Howe's or Graham Potter's. It's because it looks more glamorous. It feels more glamorous. There's more PR linked to it. And the same applies with signings. But just to go back to West Ham are a great example of a manager getting the right players for his system. Everyone says that Souček is David Moyes, is Tim Cahill, Fellaini. You know, Bowen is like a Leon Osman or a Pienaar. There's examples of that all over the pitch. So that's what David Moyes is doing, and it's working. But let's also not forget that David Moyes got sacked not sacked, but you know he wasn't asked to come back the first time. And when he did rejoin West Ham, they weren't happy with that signing. So it's all about perspective, and things can change really, really quickly. So to quote, you know, West Ham are above us as a reason to show how poorly Arteta is doing. You can do that, but they're also above Liverpool. They're also above Everton. You know, they're not far off anyone else. So sometimes those things will happen in seasons. But cohesion is important, Egal. And for cohesion to happen, you need to be patient. And that's not about trust the process. It's just about trusting patience. But yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Kesh, what do you think about the actual granular statement argument? Has Arsenal been unlucky this season, or have they just been? What do you think about that? Like, do you think it's any truth behind it? What do you think?
It's a difficult one, really. I think there may be an hint of truth in it, but in order for it to be valid, you'd have to go back and look at every single game, not just Arsenal games, but for every team to make a valid argument. So, listen, I get the frustration, and I know a lot of decisions haven't gone our way. But we're now got 11 games left. I don't really see the point of us going over it. You know what I mean? Like, the best thing that we could ask for is the season just finish as quick as possible and we just reset for next season. Honestly.
Yeah, that's it.
We literally were speaking about it yesterday, and you were saying that you do understand that there have been decisions that have gone against us, like, for example, the Burnley game or the Wolves game. But at the same time, you're saying we shouldn't look at it. We should just gloss over it.
I think Kesh is saying don't cry over it. There's no point.
Yeah, there's no point.
I'm not crying. I'm just pointing it out.
Not saying you are, but just in general, like, listen, it is what it is.
What I'll say, if you was gonna go back and review every single game, every team, I would support you on it 100%, because then we can get down to the nitty gritty and we can see.
You know what? I will make that my life's work for the rest of the season. I've already.
That will take you forever.
No, it took me 2 hours to do what I did yesterday. It will only probably take me around 13 hours to do the rest of it.
Mate, it will take you forever. By the time you do it, we'll be playing Champions League football.
Because you gotta remember, what you've done today is you've looked at what's gone against us, but you're gonna have to also factor in what's actually gone for us. maybe decisions that shouldn't have gone for us, that should have went for the other team. You know what I mean? It's a difficult one, man. That's some mad, like, you know what I mean? You need some researchers and everything to go help you.
Yeah, you do. You're gonna need a team. You're gonna need a full team behind you. This is like detective work.
I have a list of some VAR decisions that have gone against us. We need to find it. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna throw this premise to you guys. When it comes down to it, everyone's been affected by VAR, but you do realize that Arsenal has dropped the total most points with Liverpool and West Brom. Liverpool, West Brom, and Arsenal have been affected by VAR to the tune of 5 points dropped. Everybody else in the league has dropped less points than us, or has actually gained more than us. And when it comes to the top 6, this is the order. It goes Chelsea, City, Spurs, Manchester United, then Arsenal and Liverpool are tied for last. So even VAR decisions are going against us. It's not just subjective decisions. So am I crazy? Like,
no, you're not crazy.
I don't think so. Sorry. I was just going to say, I don't think you're crazy, but even 5 points, I was just working it out. 5 points puts us behind Liverpool, who are still meant to be having like a really, really bad season. So 5 points doesn't really improve us that much. And I get it.
Can I say one thing? Do you know how much that whole thread, I calculated, it's an average of 9 to 13 points added to our league table position. If every decision went our way, and even if the 9 is if results still didn't go our way, but the 13 is if everything went our way, it would be 13 points. At worst, it would be 9 points.
But that's football, though. You're never going to get a game where everything goes your way. It's just not going to happen. And one thing you have to remember is, like, if you take that away and you have anything perfect for a team, it takes away the drama of football. You still need a bit of drama in football, you know what I mean? And listen, there's other teams who are going to complain and say they could have. If you look at Villa last year, they stayed up because of all-out technology. So these things happen. You brush yourself off and you go again.
Yeah, exactly. But let's be real. We're only talking about it, or it's only a topical conversation is because we're 10th in the league. You know, so it's just about trying to save some grace.
Ask Adam. I was talking about this Fan Park Lives when we were not 10th.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is now it's a real discussion point because of where we are. And even though we refer to Burnley on the weekend where we could have had a penalty, but then people are saying that the Vigil one could have been a penalty. So,
what I think we should be talking about is the overall lack of quality in refereeing.
Yes,
and that's for every single team in the league. Like, that's something it's been very dire for so many years now, and it doesn't seem that there's anyone urgent for the quality to be raised.
Yeah, well, I don't think they are. I think they know it won't make a difference. When you see Mike Dean make mistake after mistake, and then he gets a cover up saying, "What was the excuse for him being demoted or taking a week off?" Oh, death threats on Twitter. I know, which sounds a little bit harsh. And then you saw a few weeks after a referee had a family matter, which is why he wasn't refereeing. So I don't think anything can be done. It just feels like it's just they'll always protect the referees, and that's why after a few games I've said it's corrupt, and I just feel like it is. There's just too many examples where I just see.
What about? Let's move away from the referees. What about our errors? What about our individual errors? If we just improve from our individual errors, aren't we going to go add another 6-7 points to our league total next season?
Yeah, we are, but unfortunately, it's a player personnel, man. Like, and as much as I protect Bellerín and Xhaka, and I don't think they're as bad as we make out, or David Luiz is decent on his day, you know, like they're gonna make errors. Cedric against Villa, first minute, you know, that's not luck. That's just player personnel, and that's kind of where we are.
My camera's a potato today. What the hell?
I don't think you can quantify exactly how many points the removal of mistakes would make, but I do think it would improve us. Like Harry said, you know, Cedric made a thing, even not in the bloody Premier League, but you got Ceballos who did that ridiculous header in the Europa League as well. So everywhere we go, there are individual mistakes from players that seem to cost us. I don't know how many points it will gain us, but I think when you have players who play with confidence and don't make mistakes, and I think that breeds throughout the rest of the team and raises everyone's game generally. So I bet you any money by that, remove those players, the general quality of our play will improve. We'll create more chances. We'll score more goals just because it breeds confidence more than, because if I'm thinking, if I'm a defender and my midfielder in front of me, the ball's gone up to him and I'm worried, I don't know what he's going to do, I'm not going to step up that little bit higher. And if I don't step up, that gives the striker more space for me to, or for him to operate in. And that could lead to us conceding a chance. So there's those types of things that you can't really quantify, but we know that it has an impact.
I think if you put aside the points and you focus more on the performance of the mistake, I think it's very detrimental, because if you look at the Burnley game, they didn't do nothing really. But as soon as we gave them that sign of belief by giving them a goal, it completely changes the game. They then start putting together more chances and things like that. So we need to focus on, when we're in control of a game, just finish it. Don't give these teams any sign of belief that they can come back into the game. Because you saw how the team, the whole dynamic of the team from the first half, before the half finished, it changed. Came back out second half, it just changed. It wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah, that shows as well how fragile we are as a team. When we make a mistake, like, everyone just looks broken. You can see, like, in Xhaka's head, the fear of getting home and even looking at his phone or picking up his iPad, and because he just knows it's coming, and whether that's right or wrong, and that's where the team are. They're just so fragile.
You made a mistake straight after that as well. You played it to. I can't remember who you were trying to play it to, but it was on the edge of the box, and they nearly broke through again. I think, oh god. And
that's why, as much as I protect these players, that's why in the summer sometimes you move players on because of that aspect of it, like the psychological impact negative mistakes have on this team. If you look at Spurs, for example, that team that Pochettino had, the only reason why they didn't win anything was because psychologically they had too many barriers to overcome. They knew the history of their failings, and that's why they couldn't get over the line. And right now, the likes of Xhaka and David Luiz and Bellerín and Mustafi previously, they know what will happen if they make a mistake, and it's that fear that makes them make a mistake, and then it goes on from there. So that's the bigger question, really, Egal. Like, we are unlucky, but we're not.
This is a very provocative question, and people are getting their knickers in a twist every 2 seconds about it. My whole point is, if we were this is that, that's what everything's ifs and buts. Okay, let me get to the granular points. You guys said it yourselves. If our players had more quality, this is that. No, forget it. If we attacked better, and we would have won these games. Yes, I hear you on that. If we this, if we that. So everybody's saying ifs. So I'm saying ifs. You guys are saying ifs. What's the point? At the end of the day,
because the ifs we're giving you
is different.
In our control.
You're in our control
you're talking about are completely out of our control, bro. We can't control what an external party to Arsenal Football Club does. We can only control what we do, and that is sign the right players, coach them better, and drill them.
Score the goals.
We can't, unless we bribe the referee and say give us all the decisions. We can't control what they do, bro. So it's an if and a but.
How about this? We can control our individual errors, improve our individual errors. That's one thing we can control that we can fix. Yeah. Cool. I agree with you on that. That's one thing we both agree on. And that was one of my points. We've been unlucky because players have been so error prone. It's not normal being this error prone. It's just not normal. Even at our worst, we've never been this bad.
The thing is, it is normal. It's normal. It's been normal for a number of years now. Like, from the moment Xhaka stepped into this club, he's been making mistakes. So it's something that I've come to terms with, and I just know that even if he goes 5-6 games where he's played good, the 7th game he's going to make a mistake. It's like Mustafi. Mustafi will have very good games, and then a lack of concentration, he gives the goal away. So
when was his last error, though? When was his last error? We keep talking about Granit Xhaka making errors every single week. When was the last time he made an error before this time? When was it?
Leicester. What made an error against Leicester?
I just want to say, I know people don't really like stats and stuff, but because I love Xhaka, got to do it. Apparently, he makes a mistake every what is it, 20 point something games, which I think on average during his time at Arsenal works out to like one mistake per season. So really is Granit Xhaka.
That's not true though. That's not true.
Can I say something though? I think it just depends what line of the fence you are. If obviously Granit Xhaka is a sensitive conversation, but if you look at the Leicester goal and you play it from when Willian plays that pass initially, that pass is a bad pass to him. It's towards the touchline.
Do people blame Xhaka for the Leicester goal?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's no, Kesh, 1 second. I know what you're saying. He's definitely part of it, but Willian is also terribly suspect for that goal.
No, but
he
Willian
lets Tielemans just get in front of him. He just lets Tielemans
get in front of him. Pablo Marí for that goal.
I understand that. But what he tried to do there is nonsensical. Like a quality midfielder do not do that in that position. They do not do that. What are you even trying to do there? You're risking it for no reason.
He should have just played it line, or he should have just turned back.
You risked it for a biscuit, and he didn't get the biscuit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. These trolls are really starting to get to me. Why can't we have a constructive conversation about something like this? Why is this more provocative than saying sack the manager? He's tactically inept when he's actually tactically setting up the games properly. It's just we're losing because of these players not being smart enough.
Listen. I think it's a conversation, and it's a conversation about lots of different matters as to why Arsenal aren't doing so well this year. So I think everyone in the comments, like, it's just Egal's just raising a point, and we're having a discussion. Egal's not saying he's wholeheartedly right, and we're not agreeing with every aspect of him. So he's just putting.
I just brought the games, the dates, the times, the incident, who touched who tied their shoelaces, what they ate at breakfast in the morning. I brought everything to the table. You guys are now shooting it away. So when people say I'm talking nonsense, I'm literally bringing facts to the table. We actually were given these decisions unfairly, in my opinion. But hey, that's your choice.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes quiet.
Okay.
I agree.
As I said, if you paid someone to actually go and do the research and everything, it probably would end up with us being 6th or 5th. It probably would. But unless you're going to actually present that data and everything to match your argument, then it's just pointless, because it's always going to get brushed to the side by whoever your audience is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. And Egal, unless you've got 44 days to do it and loads of money in the bank to pay researchers, you might have to just accept defeat on this one. I do agree with some of the incidents you referred to in terms of referee decisions, but some of them I'm not sure on them, like the Fernandes foul and whatnot. But it's worth a discussion, because I tell you what, it's like if you go for a job interview, right, and it's at 3 p.m. and you leave your house at 1 p.m. knowing it's an hour's journey, but you leave your house and you get to the train station and the trains aren't working, and the rail replacement bus sends you somewhere different, and then you get in an Uber and the Uber breaks down, and you get out of the Uber, you get hit by a car, and you get to your job interview half an hour late. You'd want that person to hear why you're late for the job interview, and if all they says is, yeah, but you're late, it's like, yeah, I know I'm late, but these are the reasons why. So what we're saying is, yeah, we're 10th, but these are the reasons why. Of course, you can just come back and say, yeah, but you're 10th. It's like, yeah, we know we're shit, but these are some of the reasons as to why we're a little bit shit. And that's all it is. But
I think one of the reasons why we're shit, because a lot of people say when he's not getting enough out of this squad or whatever. Listen, if you look at these players, and because they're at Arsenal, you say they're quality, they're great players. They should be doing better than what the Villa coach is getting out of Villa players. Doing better than what Moyes is getting out of West Ham players. But that's not completely true, that they are the standards to be getting where we want to be. And listen, you take a couple of those Villa players and put them into the Arsenal team, they'll probably fall to the same level that these men are playing at.
What happened to Adam?
It's a different sort of weight on your shoulders. It's not the same as playing for West Ham. You can't compare West Ham and a Villa.
Can I say one thing? Guys, let me change this premise. The league position is completely unacceptable. We get that. Everyone gets that. No one is happy with the league position. What I'm asking is there more to it than just the fact that we're 10th? Is that an acceptable?
There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it. What you have to remember is we've gone years and years and years just destroying the culture that we had, destroying the belief that we had in this team when we was winners. Eventually, it's gonna get so sloppy. You're not gonna see that same brand that we know Arsenal should be. It's not gonna be the same brand. And now we're in a stage where we're trying to repair that. And the way we're trying to repair it is we're trying to be cheap, whether it's manager or playing staff. So of course it's gonna take a while. Of course you're not gonna get it right straight away.
Yeah. What I dislike with, I guess, rival fans trolling, because surely trolling has to have some kind of impact on you. But anyway, that's by the way. What I dislike about them trolling is the fact that it's people that don't watch Arsenal. They don't know the inner workings of Arsenal, but they're commenting on it as if they do. So they see the result on the weekend and they say, oh, Arsenal are so bad, our manager's rubbish, blah, 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 without all of the context behind what he's trying to do and the situation that Arsenal find themselves in. I hold my hands up. I'm completely guilty of it when it comes to Chelsea. I'm probably Manchester United, but I try my best to stay informed and read proper sources of news articles rather than just going off the flipping your best mate's nan's Twitter account. So yeah, I think it's those types of things that come into play as well. And I don't think many people really know what they're talking about.
It's not black and white. They will say like, get a better coach, Ancelotti will get you there. Cool. It's possible because he's a great coach. I get it. But you're saying a better coach. I'm sure Emery is a better coach than Oli. Oli still managed to get top 4. Emery was failing. So it's not as black as white as the way people try to paint it.
Yeah, sometimes football there is blind luck, and you know what? We have not been lucky, but when it comes to the actual situation we find ourselves in, we only have ourselves to blame. I get that. And you know what? We have to look internally, but sometimes there's nothing wrong with just looking outside and being like, hey, I feel hard done by that. I feel hard done by that. And we're fans. We're going to do that. Look, going back at the end of the season, I'm not going to bring this up every single time. I've brought it up this one time, and anytime anyone speaks to me about it, and they say, you know what? Everything that's happened is down to one granular person. This here will show you that it's not only down to one person. Because that's everyone's argument. A couple of weeks ago, it was Arteta out. Now it's Granit Xhaka and Arteta and Edu and Kroenke and the whole friggin' fan base out. So yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I tweeted. I put this in the group right now here. This is what I was trying to say. I copied it from the thing. Where is it? Lucky goes, we're not lucky, and we're very unlucky as a team. That's all I think. And I'm going to leave it there. We'll move past the unlucky part. What's the conclusion, guys? What's the conclusion, guys?
My conclusion is, we was in Champions League, yeah. We didn't spend. When we're now out of Champions League, we decided to spend. Now there's 4 to 7 other teams that's got money, yeah, and they're spending better, recruiting better. Hence, is just a reflection of where we are. It is, and Arsenal fans, they're so Billy Big Bollocks because we're Arsenal. Yes, we should be finishing top 4. Yes, no, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And there's a reason why every year it kept dropping off. Wenger finished a lower position each year. Emery finished 5th. You got Man City. Yes, Liverpool's having an awful season. You got Man United. Chelsea should have been doing better anyway with the squad that they've got. Everyone keeps talking about Everton's gonna this, Everton's gonna that, Aston Villa's gonna that, West Ham's gonna that. No, they're not. They're gonna drop off, and the teams that you expect to finish in the top 4 is going to finish in the top 4. If we're saying this team should be doing better, this team is a Europa League squad at best. Just face the facts.
This is what I'm saying. But as long as Arteta fix the attack permanently, which I think he can, and find some balance with recruitment, we should be back in the Champions League with in contention in no time. Genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe if we can fix that attack and we can get some good recruitment and some balanced players to help the team be more balanced in the long run.
No one's saying Arteta deserves 3 years. But I'm not moaning because the board obviously sees that they see him as a long-term plan. Why dwell on something that they don't want to change?
Exactly. And also,
we've been asking for change at this club, even on the Wenger. They didn't listen to us. So what makes you think us having been disgruntled, they're just going to decide? Oh, you know what? We're going to rip up what our Arteta's contract and get someone else.
Yeah, and also,
someone said to me. You know,
Go on.
Go ahead. No, so I'm just going to say this quickly. Someone said to me, what you're doing, you're saving the Cronkies from spending money in the transfer window by writing this article or writing this thread. I'm like, do they really care what I think?
Maybe they do.
Do they really?
Egal, respectfully, I'd say they don't, but maybe they do. Who knows? I find this whole obsession with Emery terribly confusing because, as far as I'm aware, I'll generalise a little bit, but most of the fans wanted Wenger to move on. Most of the fans wanted Emery to move on. So I'm not sure why we use Emery as an example. If you're annoyed at the process of elimination of Unai Emery, then why would you want the same thing to happen to Arteta? So what is it you're annoyed about? I don't understand why we keep mentioning Emery. Like, yes, Emery was sacked for similar results. Yes, he was sacked for getting 5th place with Jenkinson and Welbeck and Lichtstein and all these players that you throw out who hardly ever played. But what's the argument here? Do you want Emery back? No, we don't. So why do we keep mentioning Unai Emery? He got sacked because he lost the dressing room. Have you ever seen a player not celebrate a goal at his own stadium when Lacazette equalised in the last minute? Monreal wanted out, Koscielny wanted out, Ramsey wanted out. They didn't want to play for the man. The difference here is that the players want to play for Arteta. He's slowly installing a new culture. Now, has he fixed the egos in the squad? Yes, he has. Has he improved the wage structure? Yes, he has. Has he improved the general work rate of the players, the appreciation of playing for Arsenal? He clearly has. Has he improved the league position? No, he hasn't. But he has improved many other things. Unfortunately, in the league, we're not where we want to be. And if you didn't want Emery out, then fair enough. I don't want to generalise too much, but as an Emirates goer, I certainly wanted Emery to move on because I found it painful to watch, and I just couldn't like recognise where we were going. I couldn't appreciate what he was doing. I found him unlikable, and that's half the game here.
It's more so the lack of respect that the squad had for him. Why I thought this can't go on. Like if they don't respect you, then why are you gonna want to stay in the job? It doesn't make any sense.
He came out and threw the players under the bus by saying the players voted for captain, because if he said he picked Granit Xhaka, he knew the fans would go against him. He wanted Granit Xhaka as captain, as do all of our managers, because he's a captain-like person. But he passed it on to the players because he didn't want to get the flack from all the fans saying Granit Xhaka shouldn't be captain. He dodged so many things. But anyway, it's not about Emery. I just find it weird that we bring him up all the time.
No, I completely agree. And also, I think he I don't know how to say this nicely, but his grasp of the English language wasn't perfect. And I think we underestimate how big that is as well, because
his communication was not perfect.
Yeah, he seems to articulate his thoughts very clearly, and that's more captivating for me. So I can only imagine it would be the same for a player than flipping a guy who mumbles and stumbles throughout flipping press conferences.
But it's his own fault. It's his own fault, Adam. The club told him you have a translator. You can have the translator in training. You can have the translator in everything, and they even did an embargo, so the club overlooks every press conference he does. He said, "You know what? I'm good. I can do it." After a couple of weeks, after speaking to the media by himself, he said, "You know what? I don't need any more tutoring on English language. I'm good." And 3 months later, he couldn't say a word of what he used to say, and he just caused himself more headaches. The club actually had to go back and tell people re-edit their papers, because what he said and what he was trying to get across were two different things. And they made
that is so funny. You know how funny that is.
and they made embarrassing stories about him. This was all come to light in the recent article.
I don't want to be too harsh on him in terms of communication, but I totally get it. If you can't, we've seen that video when he was saying to, is it Reiss Nelson, like calm. And Nelson didn't know what was going on. So
listen, the fact
that's an example. But
you know what the peakest thing is, it wasn't even the senior players that was showing lack of respect. It was the youth players. It was the youth players that started this good evening. Like, you know what I mean? From when it's youth players disrespecting you, your job is no longer safe.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, he did do good things in bringing some of those youth players through, which is great. You know, and I'm not going to be too harsh on him. I'm just confused. If people aren't happy with how we sacked Emery, or you feel he deserved more time, then you should be thinking that he deserves more time. And but then in the same token, if you want the same process, so I saw the comment from Ad saying, we mentioned Emery because I believe every coach should be treated the same. But I mean, just go through the evidence. Every coach isn't treated the same. Some people will get more time depending on what you show, on how likable you are, on the goals you've reached, i.e. winning an FA Cup and Emery not winning a trophy. So there's all these things which give Arteta a little bit more time. Plus the pandemic, whether we like it or not, the pandemic has had a huge effect, and it affects some clubs more than others. And you can say, yes, it hasn't affected West Ham, it hasn't affected Leicester, but it has affected us, it has affected Liverpool, it has affected Spurs. So it does affect clubs. So there's always different rules for everyone.
It has actually benefited Aston Villa, even though they've had games with players out for COVID and everything, and they've had games that they've missed, and they've had a condensed schedule on the back end of the season. You know what? It's benefited them because they've had time to get their team fit and playing again. Even though they've had COVID breakouts, they've still played with less players than us. And I'm not even I'm not including the League Cup, because the League Cup doesn't count. They literally put out an 11 of youth. And when it comes to what you just said, about Unai Emery, Unai Emery, I wanted him gone at the end. And Arteta, if it comes down to it, and we're in the same situation come next year, after 10 games, you know what? I'm allowed to change my opinion. And at that point, if situation is the same, at that point you have to change it, because we've had we've had two big windows. We've had two summers.
God.
At that point, then you start evaluating the situation. Do you guys agree? Kesh is talking about something else.
I understand people saying they want a new manager, but then when they start throwing in, Steven Gerrard because he's won the SPL, like, yes, credit where credit's due. He's done an amazing job. But if you actually think, people don't understand. Listen, Arteta could probably do a wonderful job in next year or two. We're not winning a title. Get it out your head. We're not winning a title. Ancelotti can come and do a good job. He's not winning a title at this club. Everyone keeps still thinking that Arsenal's title winners. We're not title winners. We're not. Yeah. Do you think Arsenal's going to surpass Man City? Do you actually believe that? Or are you that thick in the head that you believe that Arsenal's going to go past Man City?
No, Kesh, the same guy who's telling you sign Steven. The same people who are telling you sign Steven Gerrard, sign these guys. They're telling you, you know what? This season we could have won the league.
Yeah, listen,
I've seen a lot of people said that. I've seen a lot of people saying that.
I believe under Arteta's guidance, we can make top four in a few years. I think that it's going to take a lot of investment, but I think we can. But in the same respect, I'm certainly not judging my aspirations or judging a manager on my previous experience with the Arsenal. So I'm not referring to Invincibles and going, oh, we're the Arsenal. This is where we should be. It's like, yeah, that's where we were, and here is where we are now. So you can't just go back, yeah, but we're the Arsenal. We shouldn't be 10th. No, we shouldn't be 10th. I get that. But we are. And if you look at the reasons we are, it's because maybe when we said we shouldn't be 4th place, well, hey, we would all love 4th place right now, under Wenger. So sometimes you get what you served. And and when you create an environment of ungratefulness and negativity and toxicity, sometimes it just comes full circle at you. So right now, if I was all Arsenal fans, I would be looking at it like this way. We've got a coach that is hugely respected. I've never heard a manager spoken so highly of from fellow pundits, players, and all of these things. And that weighs a lot. Has it transferred to our league position? No, it hasn't. But I believe Arteta is a great coach, just in a very unsettled, unbalanced environment, which is trying to make right. And unfortunately, he's got to mess up a few things to get it better. But like Kesh said, we ain't going to win the league anytime soon unless something happens like the Leicester season, and we're ready to pounce when all of these teams have dropped off. So be patient, not trust the process, just trust patience, trust just being calm and respectful to our players and trying to all create a positive environment which gives everyone a greater chance of succeeding.
You know the average age of our squad is, guys? You know what the average age of our squad is? No, it's not young. Bro, it's 26.5 years old. That's the fourth oldest team in the league based on this season. How is that possible?
Willian, you know what? I'd really love for that ad guy. I don't know what his full name is, but I want to know if he thinks in life everyone is treated the same. I'd love to know if he really thinks that, and if he does, he's got a lot of growing up to do, very, very quickly. Because you'll be surprised, sir. Not everyone gets treated the same, and when you realize that, the sooner you realize that.
Just look at the interview yesterday from Harry and Meghan, right? Straight up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
perfect example. But yeah, moving back to Arsenal, guys, we've talked about a lot of things. The unlucky part, it's over. The discussion now is going into Thursday. Do you guys care about the Premier League season anymore and finishing as high as possible, or do you only care about the Europa League and the next game in the Europa League? Because to me, I'm not even thinking about the North London derby, even though everyone was trying to goat me into talking about it on Sunday.
Mate, that's all on my mind at the moment.
Listen, you know my opinion, and a lot of fans might not like it. Listen, we can finish as high up the league as possible, but ideally we need to win the Europa League. Whether we will or not is a different question. But for me personally, it doesn't really matter. Even if we finish outside the top four, a smart man will look at it and say, you know what, it's a blessing in disguise, but I'm not going to let that affect me in the way I spend and try to rebuild the summer. I'm going to continue. I'm going to build as if I'm in the Europa League. And then what you have is Arsenal playing in one competition, one serious competition. Forget the cups and everything, but you're playing in one competition, just like the way Aston Villa is this season, West Ham is this season, Everton is this season. They're all their focus is on the Prem, as much as possible. When those teams who are finishing in Europa League and that, they're not going to be used to playing Thursday, then playing Sunday. You will see the adverse effect it has on them. And I'm telling you, a lot of these teams that are up there right now, they will finish lower than what they finished this season. I promise you. I'll even put money on it.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where you make your move. But the problem with Arsenal Football Club is, and this is what bugs me all the time, if you're not in Champions League, they don't show the ambition. If this was a Chelsea in reverse, yes, well, I understand. We're not going to spend because we ain't got Romero's money. But we're a Premier League team. We're a big team in the Premier League. You can't tell me you ain't got money. You've got money. Every team in the Premier League has money. You just have to open up your heart and say, you know what? This is the time to go for it. Show some ambition and go and get the players that we need and chase on all front for the Premier League. That's how you do it. And that's how you get back up to the top.
It's true. I don't know how I feel. I think in my mind, I want to write off the Europa League because I don't think we're going to win it. And I'd rather Arsenal were able to focus all their attentions on the Premier League next season, because I don't think we're going to get the level of investment which allows us to compete on multiple fronts. So I would rather we write off this season, Europa League and Premier League, and we go again next season, and where things are back to normal. And I think Arteta's quality will start to shine through. But I can obviously see if we win the Europa League or at least get further in it, then that means that we have more money to invest in the squad, which allows us to do that anyway. So I can see both sides of the argument, and I'm going to continue to sit firmly on this.
Yo, guys, there's people in the chat who really, really, really want to come on. So do you guys want to take some callers, or do you guys got to just take like two callers?
I don't mind.
5-10 minutes left though, so yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, cool. Just whenever you gotta go, just say your goodbyes to everybody. And thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you.
In terms of like priorities, and I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans say, you know, just focus on the Europa League, which I appreciate. But if focusing on the Europa League means that we finish 15th and then we don't win the Europa League final, there'll be knives out for Arteta. So, you know, putting all of our eggs in a basket, unfortunately, we're not. I don't think we're good enough to do that. The only thing I would say is that if there's players who we can potentially sell in the summer and we can increase their value, i.e. Calum Chambers and Nketiah, I wouldn't mind seeing those players start a few Premier League games to raise some funds. And if that's at the expense of... One second. If that's at the expense of results, I don't mind taking that hit, because I can say to myself, if we finish 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 13th, 14th, it doesn't really matter. It's all been unsuccessful. Of course, I would like us to win the Europa League, but like Adam said, I think it's going to be really, really hard to do that. But I just want to make that clear. A lot of fans are saying, put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, cool. We can put it all in the Europa League basket, which guarantees nothing. But then it might guarantee a really poor finish in the league. And as a fan base, are we going to be diplomatic enough and show a bit of perspective and say, well, we wanted this and we have finished 15th, so I'll tell you it's okay? Of course we won't. There'll be knives out for Arteta. So we've got to play to win all the games, because in my eyes, you know, the derby is just as important as Olympiacos. It really is. You know, if we beat Olympiacos and lose against Spurs, you're well pissed off.
TJ, this is your moment to shine. And Harry, just before you go, Harry, you know what's going to happen. The moment Chambers starts being a good player again, people are going to be so forgiving, and they're going to be like, you know what, we shouldn't sell. And if we do sell him, they're going to be like, it's another Martinez situation. We sold our best defender. That's what you're going to hear. Anyways, TJ, you're first. You're up. One question. Tell the panel what you got to say, because you've been talking a lot in the chat. I want to know what you got to say. It's your moment to shine. Don't miss up.
Well, I had a few things, but I'll just try and stick to one. It was about the individual mistakes thing. You do realize there is a way to cut that out. It's drop the players that consistently make the mistakes. But no, your manager, not my manager. My manager manages at Everton, not my manager. Picks them. Your manager picks them.
Everton
week in, week out. Xhaka, terrible. Gets picked every game.
How do you feel about the Chelsea loss last night then? What are your thoughts on Chelsea beating you 2-0?
What are you on about?
I thought Ancelotti's your manager, right?
Nah, I think he wants Ancelotti, right?
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
That's what I mean.
Oh, you're Arsenal fan, sorry.
Either way, it's still pretty poor. I mean, he lost, as you said, to Thomas Tuchel. So what's going on there?
Yeah, and we're going to get slapped by Tuchel.
Right. But
So
you
what's the
do realise
difference?
that a lot of the reason why Ancelotti's even doing well now is because he signed two players that he's used before, just because he's had a lengthy career. So by that logic, Arteta in time will have the same impact at another club. Like, come on, man.
Arteta's having no impact. I don't know where you've got that from.
Look, can we stop pretending that Ancelotti has like turned Seamus Coleman into Cafu, and he's turned like all of these players into absolute world-beaters?
Coleman was already good. Coleman's underrated.
No.
He's been underrated for a while.
No, but what I'm saying to you is that Ancelotti has done well at Everton, 100%. But he's done it because he's got some good players in his squad.
Did you realise that Ancelotti would have us 5th or 6th with this
Oh,
team,
you're
with
crazy.
these players? 5th or 6th.
TJ. Where did Ancelotti finish last year in Syria?
In Serie A? I don't know. I don't watch Serie A.
No, but you're Ancelotti advocate, ain't you? You want Ancelotti to be at Arsenal. So if I want a manager,
3 Champions League. 3 Champions League.
Oh God.
Bro, one of them
we should take Jose then. We should take Jose then. You're the one who said Jose. We should have taken Jose the other day.
I would have took Jose. Yeah, I would have. 100%.
No, but should we take Jose now?
One second.
Yeah, I'd still take it.
TJ, how old are you?
16.
Yo, when did Ancelotti win his first Champions League?
Was it 2005? No, actually, no, they lost that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Way earlier than that, brother.
90s.
TJ,
Because I know they bottled it in 99.
TJ, come back tomorrow when we talk about the.
And can I just say one thing quickly?
Yeah.
Your VAR conversation is quite dumb, because some of the calls you were talking about were right. Like, for example, what one was it? The Cooper one, where you said he's got rid of a clear goal. What do you want him to do? Just have no arms?
Which one?
0-0 Leeds when Liam Cooper blocks it.
Liam Cooper handball.
Egal said it's handball.
No, I don't think that's handball.
It's not. What do you want him to do? Chop off his arms?
I don't think that's handball.
TJ. I'm just bringing the points to the table. Do as you will, okay? If that's your opinion, my opinion is I feel like it's another thing that can help my argument. So I brought it to the table. That's why I brought it up.
What I'm gonna say is it's not black and white that Ancelotti would get us top 4, because if you look at
I don't think he'll get us top 4.
So where would he get us?
Didn't say that. 5th or 6th. We wouldn't be 10th. We'd be higher than 10th.
No, but you guaranteed 5th or 6th. What makes you guarantee 5th or 6th? He's not even doing that.
Because he's an experienced manager with tactics.
Oh God! This whole tactics thing.
TJ, you lost me there. You lost me there. I'll talk to you tomorrow, bro. 10 o'clock. Cool.
All right, catch you later.
The tactics argument is just so confusing. I find it so confusing when people say he'll come with tactics. I mean, I don't think Arteta is going to training sessions and not having tactics. I don't think.
What do we want to play today, lads?
That's mate. So I get what he said. I get the notion that a more experienced manager would do better. It's applicable in everything that we do. You can always say that. Of course, a more experienced manager could do better. But more experienced managers like Arsene Wenger also make mistakes. Like Mourinho also make mistakes. So there's no guarantee. Would Ancelotti have us slightly higher up the table? It's a possibility he would, but at the cost of what? Would it be good football? I'm not sure it would. How long would it last? Is there longevity in that Everton project? And don't forget about the pressure at Everton. Ancelotti walked into Everton like an absolute god. They're willing to cling on to everything that he says. Exactly. So it's a little bit different at Arsenal, straight away. And also, if Ancelotti came in at the summer after we won an FA Cup, would 5th place be good enough? No, it wouldn't. You'd be going crazy.
Yo, bro, why does everybody who's Arteta out twerk for every other manager in the league that does well? And then the moment they're doing bad, they forget about it. Jose, they're twerking for his ass when Spurs, and they're saying Spurs are going to win the league. Now Thomas Tuchel is doing well. They're twerking for him. Everton, when they're doing well, they're twerking for him. I'm not surprised they're even not twerking for Dean Smith with Aston Villa. Anyways,
guys, it's not a crime. It's not a crime backing a manager. It's not a crime supporting a manager or believing in a project. Just like it isn't a crime when people say, "Where's Martinelli? Where's Pépé?" It's the same thing. You want those players in because you like them. I want my manager to say because I like my manager. It's the same thing. It's just an opinion.
Kirsten, talk to me. What's good?
Yo, guys. I just wanted to say, what are you guys' expectations for the rest of the season? What are the musts, the things that must be achieved for Arsenal?
Europa League or bust, bro. Europa League or bust. That's it. It's Europa League or bust for me. Europa League or bust.
Nah, it's not that for me, bro. I think for me, it's development of certain players. I want to continue to see an improvement in the performance and the removal of mistakes from certain players. Funnily enough, I don't know if it's just because it was his first game, but I do really think that Calum Chambers played kind of well against Burnley. I saw him put in some decent crosses. I was like, is that Calum Chambers?
I understood why you brought him in as well. Because Burnley's a very physical team, and you wanted to make sure. So I
can't have Bellerín against Chris Wood.
I completely understood it, and he stood his ground. He won a lot of aerial battles and everything. Listen, if we're taking the chances, we wouldn't be talking about this game. For me, that strictly comes down to players not having that killer mentality. Listen, you hear managers talk about killing games off all the time. And that's something that's still to be installed into us yet. We haven't quite got there yet. But I do believe over a period of time we will see that.
It's true. Yeah.
Kirsten, have a good one, bro. There's a bunch of guys trying to come on. Next, we got Blue Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea fan. He's going to be going mad. I think, go in, bro. What are you saying? Hello? Blue Chelsea. Yo, Blue Champion. Okay, and you lost it. And then there was one more, but his thing's not even showing up. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. Guys, you got anything to say before we go? Because I feel like we covered everything. That's pretty much it. We're going to go enjoy the Champions League, even though we're not in it. And there's one more, guy.
Yeah, no, Egal, I reckon if you did a cooking show, it'd still turn on to like Arteta out or Granit Xhaka. I feel like no matter what happens, those people would always get mentioned. So no, thanks for having us on. It's been a good discussion. Arsenal fans, enjoy the week. Hopefully we can beat Olympiacos, beat Spurs, and man, keep the faith, because that's all we've got left, right? That's all we've got left. So enjoy Thursday.
Well, that's all I gotta say.
Okay.